Hi guys, welcome to week 9 of the office hours for COIS FRSC 2750. Thanks for coming out. I, as usual, have a few things I want to talk about. I'll just go over and then I'll open the floor for any questions, and feel free to jump in at any time if you've got a question about something that I am talking about. I'll briefly touch on the fact that if you have not seen quizzes yet, that means you haven't done the mandatory requirements. If you're not live, if you're watching this as a recording, I would strongly suggest that you go to office hours 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, where I've talked extensively about the mandatory requirements in order to see the quizzes. Unless someone here has a question about them, I won't deal with those any further. Like I said, we're on week 9. We're almost at the end of week 9 here. We are on chapter 6, Windows artifact analysis. We have the chapter quiz for chapter 6 due tomorrow at 11:59:00. And we also have discussion 3, post 2. So that'll wrap up discussion 3 due at 11:59:00 as well. Okay. So if you, for some reason, haven't done or did not do post 1 for discussion 3, I would strongly suggest doing that. Even if you do that and the second post back to back by 11:59:00 tomorrow, it's only a flat 10% penalty for being late on the first post. So I would consider doing that. Now, also keep in mind that your discussions are best 4 out of 5. So if you're just too busy, you've got other things going on, or you just don't feel like doing it, you're fine. The best 4 out of 5 are going to be marked, okay, for your final. The other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of things that are due or coming up is that we've got that term paper that 40% of you haven't chosen a topic for yet, that is due in 2 weeks from this Friday. So again, I've said it before, but bears repeating. Go ahead and get your topic, first of all, if you don't have it. Start writing drafts, start doing the research, and get some content down there so that you can start revising it. You don't want to hand in, I would expect that you do not want to hand in the first draft because it's worth a significant portion of your mark, 15% by memory. Check that. Your term paper is worth 15%. And you want to get good marks on it, and to get good marks, you're going to need a polished paper. If you haven't chosen your topic, my advice for choosing the topic, some of the topics will be closed because there's only a finite number of people that can choose each topic, so you may not have all the choices there. Find something that is somewhat interesting to you, 1, and 2, and possibly even more importantly than being interesting, is that something that you can get lots of research on. So if I was looking at a couple topics and trying to figure out which one I was going to write on, I would be going on to Google Scholar, and I'd be starting to look and see what kind of information is available there. I'd want something that had lots of information sources. It makes writing your paper a whole lot easier than if you have, very few information sources. Okay. Once you've chosen a topic, can you change it? Absolutely not. There are way too many people in this class for me, because it would mean me changing it, and I'm not doing it. So once you've chosen a topic, you are stuck with it. So please be careful and choose the topic that you want the first time, because you won't have a chance to choose a second topic. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on in terms of what's the deliverables. Hopefully, at this point, we are at 7 o'clock or just after 7 o'clock on Thursday the 9th. There was a deadline of 4 o'clock today to choose your location for your exam. So you have 3 choices of locations to choose from. You can write in person in Peterborough, in person in Durham, or online using Examity, which is the online proctoring service that Trent uses. If you have not chosen that, we are only 3 hours past the deadline, I cannot help you. I am unable to do anything about that. That is online at trentu.ca. So you can appeal to their better nature. They're probably nicer than I am in general, but I wouldn't leave that any longer than I had to if I hadn't chosen. By default, if you don't choose, you're going to be scheduled in Peterborough. So if you live in Norway and you're just not going to be making a flight to Peterborough anytime soon, and you did not choose your online as your choice for your exam, I would be reaching out to online at trentu.ca and seeing if they'll be nice enough to allow you to do that afterwards. Now, you were given 2 weeks, so there's no real great excuse for not doing it, but better to do it now than to do it a day before the exam, because I guarantee you every other year that I've done this, there's someone that's asking for a change at that point. I won't help you at all. I'm not interested in helping you. You had 2 weeks, so if you don't do it, that's your problem. But there's a point where even IT can't help you because Examity books up. So there's kind of a couple steps. If you chose the online exam as your option, you'll be getting an email probably on Monday from online at trentu.ca, and they will be asking you or going through the process with you of signing up with Examity if you don't already have an Examity account from doing this previously, and scheduling your exam. So again, there'll be a deadline there. Don't miss it. You don't want to miss it. There's, we're not in the business of endlessly postponing exams. There will be a very finite time that the exam is available in Examity. And I will tell you right now, I will not be approving people writing it late because they didn't do what they were asked for. So please do what you're required to do. Respond to the email, book the time, make it happen so that no one has to rush around because you didn't do your part. So anyways, that's my little talk about booking your exam. The other thing I want to mention is when you look at your My Trent, in the top right corner, there's that notifications section. In that notifications section, you'll see that COIS or FRSC 2750 has the date of Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Location, gym. Duration, 3 hours. That location is not dynamic. So if you choose Durham or if you choose online, that notification is not going to change. Okay, that is just, it's static. It has no indication of where you chose to write. So don't worry about it. If you've gone through the proper steps and you've chosen Durham, you're going to come, which is where I proctor generally. You're going to come and write with me on Thursday, April 20th at 7 p.m. in Durham. The notification in My Trent in the top right corner is not going to change. So don't sweat that, please. The other thing, and the somewhat depressing thing to talk about, is tomorrow is the drop deadline or the course withdrawal date, if you want to be proper terminology about it. What it allows students to do is to not suffer for the attempt that they've made so far in the course, meaning if you get past the drop date, no matter whether you got a 1 or a 7 or whatever mark you accumulated in the course, it will show on your transcript. Those of you that are doing well, this obviously doesn't concern you. If out of the 37.5 marks that are available so far, you're not happy with what you've got, and maybe you need a 65 or you need a 60 or something like that, and it's not looking attainable, you need to make a decision by tomorrow. And if that decision is to continue and double down and get it done, great, good for you. If it's the risk is too high that you're going to fail the course, then you need to get out of the course. I'm not giving you advice exactly on what to do. You should consult with an academic advisor. The problem is, if you haven't done so, and I talked about this last week, if you haven't done so, they're going to be really busy people tomorrow, because it is the course withdrawal date deadline. So you need to make a good decision there. There is no good outcome for having a failing mark on your transcript. That's not a good outcome for anyone. It's not that you can't pass even if you have a 0 right now. You could still get 62.5% if you got everything perfect on the way in. But there's a good chance that if you have a 0 already, you're not going to get even 50 out of those next 62.5 marks, right? So things to consider. And I fully recognize that the people that actually come to the office hours and the people that watch the office hours are not the people that drop the course typically. But I do like to make that announcement, get that information out there for in case it's of use to anyone. So yeah, that's the main things that I wanted to talk about. I think as far as the course goes, your marks for the midterm are posted now. I think people did quite well. A couple people, and I'll be talking to them in some cases, did some copying and pasting from various locations on the internet and pasting those into their answers. You can't do that. You can't even do it with a quote around it, okay? The exam itself said you have to use your own words. This is not, I don't know who thinks that it's a good idea to just copy and paste, even putting quotes around stuff from someone else's work into an exam. That's just not an acceptable thing to do. If you put quotes around it, then there was no academic integrity violation, and it was just a 0 on that question, and that's how we assessed it. If the copy and paste was done without quotes or without any attempt at citing it or whatever, then you'll be talking to me, and we will be considering an academic integrity investigation. So I am doing that in a limited number of cases. I hate doing these things. I've said that right from the very first. If you go back to the very first office hours, I said I hate doing them, but I will not allow anyone that I know has cheated because it's not fair to the people that do things properly. So again, I know my audience is not the right audience because the people that are copying and pasting from the internet into their exam are not the people that are coming to the office hours that have interest in the class. So again, your marks are up for the midterms. I will not be releasing the midterm questions or anything like that. If you have concerns about your mark, what I will be happy to do is give you a breakdown between how you did in the multiple choice, multiple answer section and how you did on the short answers. And I'll make general comments to you by email, without getting into specifics. Okay. Just looking at questions as they're flowing in here. The final exam will be it'll be weighted heavily on chapter 6 to 10, but there will be a portion of it that will pertain to the first 5 chapters. Should we send you an email to request feedback? Absolutely. Absolutely. Please do that. Ask me specific, like if you've got a specific question or a specific concern, express as well as you can. I am not interested in 350 emails saying, can I have feedback on my midterm? I don't have that kind of time. No one has that kind of time, and I can't respond to that. So if you have a concern, I am happy to go over that with you, but just don't do it reflexively because I just won't be able to sustain that, obviously. So that's a problem. If we had 10 people in this class or 15 people or even 20 people in the class, I could take time. I could go through the exam. I could, give you individual feedback and such. It's just not possible at this scale. So, all right. I'm just trying to think of anything else that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So clearly we are rolling into week 10 next. Things are just kind of business as usual for the next little while, with the exception, like I said, of week 11, the end of week 11, which is a couple weeks away, with that term paper being due. Other than that, up to week 13 is pretty similar to what you've experienced so far. It'll be difficult to know exactly what I want feedback on. Yeah, I understand that, since we cannot see which questions we got wrong. No, I understand that. I guess, and Dylan, you posted that publicly, so I'll identify your name. I get that. What I'm saying is, if you got 80%, there's probably not a lot of reason to get feedback. And if you're struggling, if your marks are low, if you got a result that you didn't expect, you thought you did terrifically and you did poorly, or you thought you did poorly and you were terrific, either way, then reach out, please. I'm happy to deal with 15 or 20 email, something like that, something manageable. I just can't do it for 350. That's my whole point. And I absolutely understand what you're saying. All you see is a number at the end. But the only reason I think that you should be reaching out is if your expectations, when you finish the exam, were not met in terms of the mark. Can we just ask for a markdown of different sections of midterm at the end of office hours here? Yeah, I'm happy to do that. We can, at the end of this office hours, I'm happy to go into private rooms and just do it verbally with you. Absolutely happy to do that. That's a lot faster, and I can do it in real time with you. Will the final exam use questions from the quizzes like the midterm did? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the final is going to be very similar in format to the midterm, very, very similar. The difference, of course, is that it won't be an open book. So the people that relied more heavily on being able to Google or search through the textbook to get their answers, so they didn't prepare as much, are going to find the final a lot harder. There's a massive difference in marks between the midterm and the final, usually 20%, sometimes more. Okay, so if you want to do well in the final, you're going to have to prepare. You're going to have to read through the chapters again, study the chapters, understand what's going on, ask me questions. If there's content that you don't understand, or material that's presenting a problem, you're going to have to be much better prepared for the final than you did for the midterm. All right. Is the final cumulative? Sasha, I'm not sure what you mean by cumulative. If you can tell me, I'm happy to answer. Does it cover everything or just the second half of content? So yeah, as I was saying, it will be mostly chapter 6 to 10. In other words, the second half, but there will be stuff from the first half too. There'll be a percentage, let's say 25 to 35%, that will come from the first half. And that's not including the stuff that the second half builds on. I mean, you have to have some base knowledge in some cases from the first half of the course in order to understand the concepts in the second half. But yeah, it's going to cover everything. It's going to cover everything, but it's going to be weighted way more to what you're doing now and until the end of the course than it is the first part of the course. Okay. You're welcome. And like I said, we will definitely go into, I'll tell you how many questions there'll be. I'll talk to you about how long I think you should be spending on each questions. We can talk more in depth about preparation. Yeah, we can do all that stuff as we get a little closer. That'll be the last office hours. Will be one of the more popular ones. The first one was really, really busy, meaning there were a lot of people here that attended it. Traditionally, the one before the exam is another really, really big one. So and we'll take whatever time we need to make sure that everyone understands what's going on. Okay. All right, guys, if you don't have any further questions, thanks for spending the last 25 or so minutes with me and with us. I appreciate the questions. I think they're very helpful, hopefully for everyone concerned. Have a good evening. If you stick around and you want to talk to me privately, I'll put anyone that stays around into a private room, and I'll just come one room after another and come and talk to you and answer your questions. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.